Let's go. Okay, so hi everyone, I'm James Dales and I work for Nonstandard, and some of you know me from the London Power BI user group. Big thanks to Nigel Frank for ongoing sponsorship as always. And thank you to the sponsors. There's a time limit on these slides, I can't get through them any faster. Right, so I'm going to talk about maps in Power BI, and despite the fact there are now 5 map visuals in Power BI, it's probably one of the known limitations of Power BI. And I haven't got time to talk through what all of those limitations are in what's now going to be a 15-minute session. And that gap has been met by a number of companies and other members of the community by adding loads of custom visuals for maps to Power BI, and I'm going to talk about one in particular. So I'm going to talk about Icon Map, which is a custom visual that I wrote back in 2016, 2017 that was released to the custom visuals marketplace in 2018, and I spent the first part of this year, come in. Spent the first part of this year rewriting it completely from scratch. So what I'm going to show you today is a brand new visual which I'm going to release into App Source either later this month or early next. And that is all my PowerPoint slides. I am going to spend the next, we've got 15 minutes, 16 minutes, might go slightly late given the late start, in demoing some of those features. So let's jump straight into Power BI Desktop. So the reason I created Icon Map in the first place was to address some specific needs of some of our customers in the early days of Power BI. And to be able to do things on maps that you couldn't do back then, and you still can't do with any other visual now in Power BI. And that was to be able to put images on that. So I'm going to use a data set here, which is the FlightAware API. So I've connected to FlightAware and pulled down the list of all of the planes that are in the sky. I haven't risked doing it this morning. It's actually from a couple of weeks ago, because I'm not feeling that brave today to do it live in a short session. So I've added Icon Map onto the canvas. It's a custom visual, so you need to click the 3 dots and import visual from the file. And I'm going to very quickly drag on the flight ID, that's a unique identifier for the plane. I'm also going to drag that onto the size field, which will basically just give us it will be a count, so it'll just be a number 1. And then I've got the longitude and latitude, so I'll add those on as well. There's longitude and latitude. And then as you get on all of the other visuals of Power BI, you get a circle representing each of the planes. Hamilton, eh?
Yeah, I think so.
Come in. But we don't want circles on our map. We want pictures of the plane. So I've got a measure here, which has just got a URL of a picture of a plane that I've posted on an external website on the internet. So if I go to the formatting settings, down here under Objects, choose Expression-Based Formatting. All I'm going to do is select that plane measure, which is just a hard-coded URL of the plane. Saves me typing it in. And all of our circles get replaced by tiny little planes. They're a bit small, so let's increase the size to 20, and we get some bigger planes. But they all currently appear to be flying to the North Pole, which isn't ideal. But conveniently in my data set, I have this heading field, which is the direction that those planes are currently pointing. So, back here in the formatting settings, I have the option to be able to rotate my images 360 degrees. So, again, using expression-based formatting, I'm going to pick that heading field, and now my planes are flying in the direction of travel. So that's a good start. I can see where the planes are, but I can't see where they're flying from and where they're flying to. Now, I do have the destination and origin, and I could drag those into these additional fields here. I haven't got time for that in a short session. So instead, I'm going to show actually something a bit more useful. And also downloaded from Flight Away was the actual flight plan that plane was supposed to follow. There's a set of coordinates, which I can show you quickly in the data. So for every plane, as well as having a record here with the longitudes and latitudes, this is what I'm showing now with where the plane is. With the same ID, the same flight number, I also, for some of the planes, have these line strings which represent those flight paths. So if I jump back over to my map, and I'm back here where I selected the image, if I clear that out, and instead replace it with a different measure, which selects, depending which row it is, either the plane or the waypoint, we now get those line strings drawn on the map as well. Now, it's a little bit overwhelming there, so let's start by making those lines a little bit thinner. Too thin, there we go. Half a pixel wide. You can change the colours in here. In fact, what we could do is just narrow down to a couple of planes completely. Let's play some random planes. So we've narrowed down to 3 planes. It's a little bit hard to see. Should we make our map a little bit more colourful? So let's pick a different background layer. Icon map has lots of different background layers available. I'm going to choose Open Topo Map for a bit more colour. And let's add a little bit more context. So as well as being able to show a background layer, we can also superimpose additional layers on top of what's background map. So I'm going to go to Overlays. And first of all, turn on the Daylight Terminator. So if I zoom right out, you can see it's that familiar daylight curve. So we can see where's in daytime and where's in darkness. And a feature I really like about this is I can zoom all the way in. And this line actually updates in real time every second. So that line slowly moves across the map. Let's add a little bit more context onto our map. I'm going to add one additional custom overlay. So this allows us to paste in the URL of a third-party map provider. In my case, I'm going to bring on some real-time weather information from weathermap.org. I'm going to paste the URL in from their API. And hopefully, we'll get real-time weather imposed on top as well. Perhaps that's why this plane is involved in that school centre. So that kind of meets the original use case that I created Icon Map for, being able to put images and lines on the map and be able to superimpose additional layers. But it's capable of so much more now. So let's close this Power BI desktop down and jump to my next data set, which is a bit more back to earth. So these next examples are based on data from the UK Land Registry, represent house sales in the UK. So I've loaded in every single property sale that's happened this year in the UK into my data. And I've also loaded in the UK postcode database, so I'm able to take those postcodes and bring back the longitude and latitude for each postcode. So let's have a look about how we can go about mapping those. And to keep things a little bit simpler for a demo, I'm going to focus in on London. So I've also mapped in the London borough names, so let's add that onto the category field. I've got the longitude and latitude, again, so let's move those in. And down here I've got the property sale price. And because we're looking at London borough here, we don't want to sum them all up. That doesn't make sense. Let's have a look at the maximum price, so we can see where the most expensive houses are sold in London. And it's a bit hard to see just a circle, so let's add some conditional formatting quickly. And let's space that on our maximum house price again. And now it's a little bit clearer, those big circles really stand out. But it's really hard to actually tell what area do these circles actually cover? Circles are really not a good way of representing the states of the map. So, let's replace these circles with the outlines of the London boroughs. And I've got these posted externally on the website as geojson layers. So, go to the formatting settings, scroll down to geojson, turn that on, and paste in the URL of my geojson file. Go back onto the map. We don't need longitudes and latitudes anymore because we don't need circles, so let's take those off. And straight away, we get a map of London, really now showing where those expensive property prices are. So let's drill in a little bit deeper and see actually where they are. So I've got another geojson layer here, it goes in a level deeper. So back on the formatting, I'm going to increase the number of levels to 2. And I get a second box to paste on the field in. And over here on my geographic hierarchy, I'm going to paste that in. So we get drill down enabled. I'm just going to flick back and forth to refresh the map to load in that extra geojson file. And we also get these drill down options here. So I can click now. What's this, Westminster? We don't know where we're looking, by the way. If you're not from London, you're from up north in Newcastle. Sorry, that wasn't a Newcastle accent. That's too bad. It's my Yorkshire roots, it's alright. I am a Northerner, really. Another feature that I added quite early on to Icon was the ability to be able to draw labels on the map, so we can actually see exactly what areas our maps are around. Let's turn those off. Let's stick with drill down, and let's drill down here into Westminster. Now that takes us into that more detailed level. And we can tweak the settings a little bit. I can go in here and I can remove those shapes that don't currently have any data related to because they're not part of Westminster. It's a bit hard to see, isn't it, with that really colourful map in the background. So let's replace that with one that is a little bit clearer. So we can use a grayscale version of the same map, but it's still a bit busy. I actually prefer one of map boxes. So if I switch to Mapbox, I need to be able to paste in the Mapbox API key for this to work. And you'll see that the new box appeared here for Mapbox access token. Paste that in, watch as we keep the Mapbox light, and we get a much cleaner map for showing this kind of front map. And we can see much more clearly that really expensive property sales down there. What happens if we want to get really into that detail and actually see the individual houses being sold? Maybe I'm a public sector organisation and I get free access to ordnance survey maps. Well, let's have a look at how we can add ordnance survey maps into Power BI. So let's drill up. Let's turn our geojson layers off for a moment because we want to focus now on individual houses. So let's pull back on our longitudes and latitudes for a moment. And we'll get our circles back. Oh, other way around, thank you. Out in the sea somewhere. Still back in London. Let's pull in ordnance survey maps. So I've got the API key here for ordnance survey maps. If you work for a public sector organisation in the UK, you get free access to this. Back in background layers, instead of choosing Mapbox, I'm going to choose a custom one. Paste that in with the appropriate zoom level, and it still doesn't show. And the reason it doesn't show is ordnance survey maps aren't like Google Maps or Bing Maps. They actually have a completely different projection. The way they flatten the globe is different to Google providers. So I need to choose the appropriate coordinate projection reference system on straight down here. And you can actually select any one here and enter all of the parameters. But I've got some common ones pre-selected here. So you can choose British National Grid. And now we get our familiar maps. And let's put a postcode into my hierarchy as well. And then I should be able to drill right down. Let's go a bit out into sticks. Let's go to Twickenham. Let's go all the way down to postcode level, and you can see we've got a circle now for each individual house. Not very easy to see in blue, so let's clear that and make them something a little bit brighter. Let's go. Nice and clear. So we can see where those individual postcodes are now with those expensive houses. But quite often, particularly in the public sector, your coordinates aren't always in longitude and latitude. Sometimes they're in British National Grid coordinates. So let me show you the data. So this is my postcode lookup file. I've got longitudes and latitudes that I'm probably familiar with, but I've also got these X and Y coordinates for British National Grid. So these are six-digit numbers. So what I can do with icon map is not only stick with longitudes and latitudes, I can take these off and replace them with my British National Grid coordinates. We don't want counts, we want averages. And then to make these appear in the right place on the map, back here where we chose British National Grid, I just need to turn these to reproject, and then we can use those X and Y values to map onto the So I've got house prices. I'm using non-standard coordinates on a non-standard map. Let's add one more context onto our map. I can't afford a house in Twickenham, but if I could, I'd want to make sure that it wasn't going to flood. So I've pulled down some data from DEFRA, from the Environment Agency. I'm hosting that now on my corporate GIS server. So let's go back in here. I'm going to turn on what's called a WMS here. So this is open source mapping map. Paste in the URL, paste on the layer name, and then hopefully overlaid on top of our map from our corporate GIS system, we have a whole layer for London showing where we've got a 1 in 100 chance of being flooded. So that's a different way of overlaying additional contextual information. So we're just about out of time. I've got 2 or 3 things I'm quickly going to show that don't require me to build them. One is if I've been using geojson layers to show this kind of boundary information. But what if you've got an absolute ton of boundary information? In this example, I've got London boroughs. But what if I drill in further? And instead of loading in the next layer of the hierarchy, I've actually loaded in every single building, park, tree, street, railway line, river, actually as objects into my data set. And I've applied the conditional formatting to those. But let me switch to a different view of that. And I'll make it a little bit clearer if I zoom right in and show you what I mean. Come on now. Zoom all the way in. So this data set has billions of polygons in it. And every single building or tree or park on here is actually an object in the data, which means I can do a full-page tooltips on it. And actually we can mouse over the individual address and pull back all of the information we know about it. Or in our house price data, I can use the lasso tool, highlight a particular street or set of houses, and then of course the other visuals on my chart will update and show the actual house prices for those particular buildings I've selected. So that's traditional mapping. But what if we want to build a map? What if we wanted to build a map for this event so we could find the rooms a little bit easier? That didn't actually, wasn't actually based, on a street map or longitudes, latitudes. Perhaps it was a factory floor plan, and we had just X and Y coordinates. Well, maybe it was a UK railway map, coming down from Newcastle by train, ruining the environment by flying. Joke. So this is still. This is still icon. Sorry. This is still icon map, but we've got a picture background in this case. We've got images, which are our trains, and we've got tooltips showing some contextual information where those trains fit. Or if we want to make things a little bit more fun, here's Lego. So this is theme park map, just hosted as a picture on the website, and there's some things going on in my theme park. I've got a couple of alerts going on. Firstly, I've got an alert on the ride, but perhaps more importantly, I've got a lost child down here, little Tom Jones. What's going on with Tom Jones? Let's see if we've got some entertainers nearby to go and help him out. There's two. We've got entertainer number 1 and entertainer number 2. I reckon entertainer number 2 is a little bit closer. So let's use my lasso tool to select them and task my staff member using my Power Automate button to go and rescue him. Now I can focus on my ride alert. What ride is it? Looks like it's Hydra's challenge, so we need a maintenance engineer to go and fix that. Is there a big queue on Hydra's challenge? Come on, tooltip. Tooltips are being slow. Let's have a look at all the rides in this area of the park. It looks like we've got a 40-minute wait time going on at the moment, so we definitely need an engineer to go and fix those. Where are they? Well, we've got 2 maintenance engineers, one here and one here. Let's have a look if they are likely to be going to fix those rides anytime soon. And it looks like maintenance engineer 2 is already tasked to head over there. So I wanted to show this because we've got a non-standard map background. We're using XY coordinates. We're drawing images on the map. We've got well-known text coordinates. We've got labels, and we've got circles. If I turn the rides back on, and we've got the coordination tools. So it's doing all of those different things in the instant vision. We're building something that we wouldn't really consider using normal. So if you want to go and have a play with Icon Map, the place to get it at the moment is iconmap.com. It's all free. Feel free to download and have a play. And we are well and truly out of time. Thank you for finding the route. Appreciate that was very, very fast. So if you want to see anything else in a bit more detail, you may want to take example.